Winter in the Arctic is brutal. I constantly fear fainting from hunger and can only cook old leftovers. I toss all my leftovers into a pot to boil and drink. The worst part is that starting a fire for warmth can set my shelter ablaze. The flames grew larger, and I had no way to control them. I could only build a small shelter nearby to rest. Could you endure this if you were me? On day 70, a snowy owl broke into my shelter to steal food. If hunting were permitted, Jordan would have caught the owl for food. He envies how easily it finds food when hungry. He still has to figure out how to deal with his hunger. The temperature outside is terrifyingly low. If he could, Jordan wouldn't want to come out and suffer. He has no idea how many others are still in the game. It feels like it will never end. His longing for home is intensifying. He's worried his body won't hold up as he has very little fat. Just having muscles isn't enough. He hopes to catch a big fish to eat. Jordan didn't expect to forget to set the traps. What a blunder. He feared some meat so he can survive a bit longer. They're smarter than he expected. They probably didn't eat any meat, just scavenged the fat. Jordan feels like the fat on his body is crying. He thought he was well prepared, but mistakes still happened. You can see the fish's skin peeled off. There's no fat left inside, and the eaten parts are unusable. He's feeling quite miserable. The camera shifts to Nathan, who looks much thinner than holes on his belt aren't enough. His pants keep falling off. He has to punch a new hole every now and then. The change is visibly significant, almost a quarter of his size. Despite eating, he can't gain weight, and he hasn't had much food anyway. He looks forward to cooking tastier meals when he returns. Nathan believes he can handle the physical pain, but the loneliness is harder. A voice in his head keeps telling him to go home and see his kids. Although he misses his family, he believes he can hold on a bit longer. Now, he needs to check the gill net. It sounds quite windy outside. As soon as he leaves the fire, he feels like he's freezing. The hole by the gill net isn't fully sealed, it just needs a bit of force to open. Nate will help much. Vonia's situation is slightly better, at least he has some meat to eat. But his stomach won't stop growling. He misses the butter blocks at home. Frying a steak with them was so tasty. He hasn't seen his family in ages and can barely remember their faces. All he can think about is the food at family gatherings. No female contestant should have outlasted him, right? With the temperature dropping, Vonia is increasingly worried about running out of food. Especially after catching 3 squirrels, it seems like there's nothing left to eat. The daily energy consumption is huge. There's no fat left to burn. Now he can only pin his hopes on ice fishing. If he can't catch some meat in the next few days, he definitely won't be able to hold on. Even though the ice is very thick, standing on it still makes him a bit nervous. Ice fishing at dusk is actually not bad. He can rest right after he's done. Vonia has rabbit guts as bait. He believes he might still catch some fish, but first, he has to break through the ice, which is much thicker than he expected. He's spent a lot of time and energy on it. Besides ice fishing, he can only rely on the traps. The weather is freezing, and night is closing in fast. He's running out of time for ice fishing, making the axe essential. He's terrified of snapping the knife. Ice shards pelt his face. Vonia redoubles his efforts. He doesn't know if it's because he's too weak or the ice is too thick, but he just can't break through to the water. He's too exhausted to break the ice and worries this might be his last chance to ice fish. Without a miracle, I believe he will soon quit the challenge. It's been 71 days, and Nathan has been dealing with death every day. But the results have been poor, and I hope the 4 nets will work out. Although many are damaged, I still have fish hooks and bait. I should be able to catch at least 1 fish, right? All I have now is a piece of smoked fish. I mostly depend on that pot of soup. The bit of fat in the soup is what's keeping me alive. Before Nathan came, he asked his family for advice. His grandpa was adamant he should bring back the prize money. Even if he has to quit, he should be carried out. Although I really want to win the prize, the situation is just too dire now. Without enough food, my body lacks the fat to burn. If I continue, I might meet my ancestors before my grandpa does. After dark, Nathan feels even more lonely. He rarely saw his family before. The last time he saw his nephew, he was just a little boy. Now, his nephew is outside catching bugs. Nathan dreams of winning the prize to reunite with his family. Dinner didn't expect was that the fire suddenly got out of control. It kept spreading to the shelter. Although Nathan tried to handle it immediately, he couldn't stop the fire. He had to clear out the burning parts. He risked burns while trying to extinguish the fire. Despite his efforts, the flames couldn't be stopped. The $1 million shelter was gone in an instant. Nathan felt awful. Only the cameras never thought the challenge would end like this. His focus on staying dry and warm caused the problem. Ultimately, his inexperience in the Arctic led to this. Now, he must call the show crew to stop the fire from spreading. No one anticipated such drama. The shelter's flames kept climbing. The flare suddenly exploded, scaring Nathan into fleeing the scene. It's too dark now, and the crew can't reach Nathan. He hopes the crew can manage the fire. Nathan couldn't handle it then and could only pray it would last longer. At first light, he must leave this awful place fast and set up a basic shelter to stay warm and avoid frostbite. The fire has calmed down now. Nathan can finally rest and plan his speech for tomorrow. Even though he might have to leave soon due to his health, quitting because of the fire feels like a personal failure. Nathan's Arctic challenge went up in flames in just half an hour. Now it's just Vonia and Jordan left. I believe it's safe to congratulate Jordan now. Would celebrating early really be a mistake? Nathan felt relieved when he heard the helicopter's buzz. His hands and feet were nearly frozen stiff. The crew 2 days is already much better than most people, even without this fire. Even if Nathan had caught a caribou, his physical state would have kept him from winning. He didn't see that coming. There are still 2 people left in the challenge. How long will it last? Let's see what Jordan is up to. Even though he has lean meat to eat every day, it's not very good for his body, so he plans to get some bone marrow. Once heated, it tastes as good as chocolate. Hunting a moose gave him a big edge, but he must use the resources wisely. Otherwise, he will quickly lose these advantages. Jordan keeps wondering why the challenge hasn't ended yet. How many people are left? This can't last 100 days, can it? I'm really worried I might not make it and have to quit. I don't know if the ice sculpture area has produced anything. The entrance is frozen over again, so I'll need to break it open to use it. Jordan is really frustrated. It feels like a big waste of energy, and he needs a better method. He plans to shine a flashlight on the bait, thinking the fish will definitely be attracted to it. Hopefully, this way he can catch a fish. It might look a bit silly, but Jordan feels capable of continuing and seems to be in good spirits. He just needs a bit of fat now. He had learned how to ice fish before, but it never worked very well. After a fruitless day, Jordan thinks a gill net might be easier and save him from waiting around. He still wants to return and light a fire for warmth. Meanwhile, Vonia is struggling even more, barely getting by on squirrels. The only food left to catch fish, if she could catch a rabbit in her traps. She could push through for another 2 days, but aside from praying, there's no way to include. She checks each trap, but there's no sign of a rabbit. She returns to the shelter to rest, wondering when she'll get to and eventually the show will make her leave. She wonders how many contestants remain. Why is the challenge still going? She dreads the thought of spending 100 days in the Arctic. If not for the prize money, she would have quit long ago to be with her family. The prize is tempting, but risking her health for it could make things tougher for her later. She's considering staying 1 more week. If it's not done by then, she'll quit and go home for a good meal. It's a nice thought, but she wonders if she'll really be able to leave. She mostly thinks she'll be forced out during a medical check. Her body is weaker than before. I guess she won't last much longer. On day 73 of the challenge, Jordan's mental state is still okay, but no matter how much meat he eats, he can't stop losing weight. It blames his imperfect storage, his belly, or if someone has quit. The production team had a 100-day completion poster ready, but Vonia sadly withdraws. For her, this challenge is a lifetime achievement. It wasn't easy at all. Among the female contestants, she probably stayed the longest. Although she couldn't complete the challenge in the end, she gave it her all. She has been learning wilderness survival since childhood. In terms of skills, she was confident she could finish. Unfortunately, her body couldn't keep up. Vonia didn't want to wait until the day she had to be carried out. She hopes the interview ends soon so she can pack all her tools and souvenirs. Today happens to be her birthday. Heading home is the best gift. Vonia struggles to put her feelings into words, but is proud to be the first female contestant to last this long. This season, she won't get another shot. She hopes to join again in the future and do even better. She won't let hunger and concerns affect her again. Vonia has adventured in many places, but none as extreme as the Arctic. It's tough to fathom how people endured this place in the past. With Vonia gone, congrats to Jordan on winning the $1 million prize. He hasn't realized it yet. He is focused on catching a big fish, and he actually catches one. It's quite large. Jordan feels he can stay another week. He makes sure to record this moment well. The $1 million meal is in his bag. Everything is going so smoothly. For lunch, he makes a preserves fiercely, ready to fend off even a pack of wolves. Jordan waits for the production team to check his health. He's unsure how long he can keep this up. Fear will eat the fat soon to regain his strength. He can hear the helicopter outside. Before the check, he's still chewing on meat to gain weight, hoping to stay just above the qualifying line. Though weaker than before, his weight remains healthy, and the production team acts like the challenge continues. Jordan shares his thoughts on camera. He thinks he loves wilderness survival more than anyone, as Jordan claims it's no challenge. His wife suddenly appeared behind him.
Oh my God!
Jordan was stunned to see his wife, thinking he might be forced to quit. And finally understood the challenge was over. Living in the Arctic was incredibly tough. Now he could really think about how to spend the money. He hadn't been this happy in a long time. Jordan still felt like he was dreaming, unable to believe he had won. He showed his wife around the shelter. His wife couldn't believe he could hunt so well. If the other contestants hadn't quit, Jordan could have kept going. There were many exciting moments captured on camera. He planned to gather friends and family to watch how he hunted moose and wolves. What do you think of this season's champion? I think anyone who can hunt a moose is pretty strong. I wonder who will challenge next. Let's all wait and see.